You're catching the drift. Conservative talk, intelligent conversations on local, state, and national issues with Gary Wellings. Join in the conversation. And now, your host, Gary Wellings.
And welcome back to the Drift Radio Show. It's been a while, and good to be back in podcast form here at the Drift. And glad to... Man, it's good to be back and be able to vent a little bit. We've been out doing all kinds of crazy things, and I'm now podcasting from home. What I've done the last few months is set up a studio at the house, and it seems to be working, I think, now. I should be able to get a rudimentary podcast. I'll have some refining to do, but boy, it's good to be back. I still have to work on getting my phones set up. I do have something, but it's not quite right yet, so we'll have to work on that, but we're getting there. So welcome to the Drift, and what we do on the Drift Radio is talk about the news that we put on thedailydrift.com, and if you're not going to thedailydrift.com, you should, www.thedailydrift.com. It's the news you need to know, and if you're looking for a conservative news aggregate, thedailydrift.com is a good one. So I've been doing it since, in one form or another, since about 2009, our present form, 2011, so it was about the same time I started doing radio at Wham Talk 1600, and I'm not on Wham anymore, so but we're handling it, and we're doing all right, so hopefully we'll get squared away. Well, let's start out this week. I don't know if anyone was following me on social media this week, and if you want to follow me on social media, at Gary Daily Drift on Twitter, or Gary Wellings The Daily Drift on Facebook. I'm also on Instagram, too. I haven't quite figured out how to work the Instagram angle yet, but I'm making the effort, right? So I'm also on Gab, if anyone's even using Gab anymore, and then Parlay. And you can see me, again, at Gary Daily Drift on Parler and Twitter. Twitter's my favorite social media. That's what I work on. So definitely look me up, follow me, and I'll follow you right back. So it's one way of doing it. Well, thank you so much, everyone, for sticking with me throughout this time. I've had a bunch of emails from people saying, hey, when are you coming back? And like I said, I've just been trying to work on getting a studio set up so I could do it from home. It's so much easier, and I don't have to do it at a particular time anymore. What I'll try and do is preload and let people know when I'm going to do it, so that if you want to call in, you'll be able to call in like you used to on the radio show. But I got to work on that a little bit, and we've got a bunch of guests lined up. We'll have Congressman Tim coming back, of course, Tim Wahlberg, and some other guests. So as we get settled in here and get things going, we'll even get guests live here in studio on my big comfy couch here in the tiny little studio. It'll be comfortable and crowded, I can assure you, all getting real familiar with each other, but hopefully we'll get into that and do a wonderful job with it. But I want to take care of a little business here. If you're looking for a used car or a second car or a car for your first-time student driver, try Time Auto in Plymouth, Michigan. Time Auto, that's Tyme Auto. Go see JR. He's got a good selection of cars. Financing is not an issue with proper qualifications, of course. And just a great guy. They've been in business for a long, long time, so they're not going anywhere. They're reputable, and they're in Plymouth, easy to get to. And nice selection of cars. I've been driving past there for years and finally met JR and talked to him. So when my student driver becomes eligible, I will be putting him into a car there myself. So I've already talked to JR about that. So give him a holler. Okay, well, I'm going to check the sound quality on this and see what it looks like. But it sounds, it looks on the screen here. This is the problem. Now, I don't have anybody taking care of production for me, so I have to handle the computers and the soundboard and everything myself. I don't know how those guys down at the station did it. Theron, who does the 3 to 6 spot down there, does his own soundboard all the time and does a wonderful job at it. And I probably should have been doing more of that myself. But I've bought some equipment and microphones and whatnot, and boy, they're pretty sensitive when you go with these analog I guess they call him professional for a reason, right? But we're working on it. So what I did this week was go through. Anyways, let's get back into this. I was trying to tell you earlier in the week, I went to the Battle Creek Trump rally, the Merry Christmas rally, and boy, was it a barn burner. Now, not the biggest of venues. I think when we looked online, it was a 9,800 person venue, and they said there was quite a few thousand people out front. I got in early and stayed in early, so I never got to see the crowds outside. It was cold, oh boy. It started early in the morning, did some volunteer, and ended up managing to get in the expedited and sitting up right behind Donald Trump at the top there, so about 80 feet behind him. And wow, it was awesome. Good to see VP Pence there and some of the other speakers that they had, but it was awesome. It was awesome. So always good to hear. I will go back and see another one if he comes to Michigan again or anywhere close, Ohio or something. But definitely worth doing. So if you haven't been to a Trump rally, gosh darn it, you gotta go. It's really just an awesome event. What we did was rent a room the night before, so we were there early in the morning, and then we just spent the night there again. So thanks to my buddy Sam for going with me. It made it a bearable and an easy trip. So it worked out. Battle Creek is a cute little town. If you haven't been on the west side of Michigan in a while, check out Battle Creek, Kalamazoo area. Great locations to do weekend trips or day trips or whatever you want to do. But let's go ahead and turn ourselves, shall we, to the headlines, and we'll start with thedailydrift.com. Monday, December 23rd. We're a couple days out of Christmas at this point. I've been off work for about a week now and feeling pretty good about the whole thing. So starting with the headlines was Donald Trump was saying something kind of nice about Tulsi Gabbard because Tulsi Gabbard is saying it was wrong to vote for impeachment. So it's kind of nice, right, to see that. President Trump defended Representative Tulsi Gabbard against claims she works for Russia and said that he respects the Hawaii Democrat for not voting to impeach him, which seems odd. She's probably, being a military person, she comes from a little different background than your average Democrat. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying Tulsi's the one, right? I would not vote for Tulsi because she is a Democrat, and no matter what she tries to look like as being non-related to the super libs on the left, I'm not buying it. She can have whatever fights and say whatever she wants about Clinton and whatnot, but I'm not buying it. I just don't think it's there. So, but it's nice to know that there's still some Democrats who aren't completely loony and on the left that are looking for a way to just get rid of Trump and get rid of all the Republicans and take away all our rights, because that's in the end what today's Democratic Party is doing, right? They're trying to get rid of your Second Amendment rights. They want to control all the healthcare system, and God only knows what will happen when that, we already went through the lies and had our costs increase with Obamacare. And the president, thank goodness, has managed to kind of put the brakes on that action. But it's exactly what the Democrats said it was going to be, that Obamacare was that first step toward controlling 1/5 of the economy and taking over healthcare. Now, I know some people in healthcare, and I ask them the same questions. They don't seem to have any answers. What is it that drives up the cost of that? But it is what it is, right? You just don't want to be voting for any Democrat at this point, no matter how good they may seem like they are or anything else. It's just not the people you want to be voting in. We can't risk the Democrats and their liberalism right now. You've seen what it's done to the country in the last 50 years. But during a Sunday speech before a raucous crowd at Turning Point USA, Trump mocked former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton and Green Party candidate Jill Stein over what they did in the 2016 election, recounting votes, and then Hillary Clinton moving on to call the election wrong with the Russian collusion and all the rest of it. So we've now seen, after 3 years in the Mueller investigation and now this phony Ukrainian hoax on top of the Russian hoax, that it's falling apart. And I'm hoping between now and November 20th, because we're 11 months out, right? 11 months from from the new election. And doggone it, folks, you can't just make sure you're registered to vote. You want to do that, but you got to get out and do a little campaigning on your own. Take a look at your Republican friends, your conservative friends. Make sure that they are on board with this, and make sure we need. I'm not a straight ticket guy as a rule. I don't believe in voting the big party lines. I'm normally a guy that looks at each candidate individually and makes that decision. But you know what? That has been taken away from me, because there's not a Democrat out there anymore that I've seen that I would vote for. Would you? Is there? Feel free to let me know, Gary at thedailydrift.com. If you want to send me an email or go online and Twitter me or Facebook me, whatever, knock yourself out. But if you know a Democrat, please let me know. If there's a reasonable Democrat, an old school Democrat out there, I'd love to get them on the show, have them come on out, and we'll give it a shot. But I'm not buying it. So I think for 2020, I'm going to go right to the Republican list and just hit it, straight ticket right down in November of 2020 and call it good, because you know what? I don't trust the Democrats anymore. And I really think that party has just disintegrated. It's gone so far to the left that it's left those union workers, those hardworking blue-collar people that would normally consider themselves to be Democrats. They're no longer Democrats. They're looking at Donald Trump and saying, that's the guy. He's the one that's putting people back to work, making the environment possible for businesses to get back into expanding and growing and hiring people again. Wages are up. I mean, it's all about the economy in the end. Each and every one of us has that issue to deal with, and we got bills to pay, right? Houses to buy, rents to pay, children to take care of, children to send to college, whatnot. That all requires money. So in the end, it's the pocketbook, it's the economy, and that's what's going on. And the economy is fantastic. So don't let any of these Democrats, including Tulsi Gabbard, fool you into thinking that there are good Democrats left, because we all know there really isn't any good Democrats left. That's just gone. And I can tell you here exactly what it was that Tulsi said. Representative Tulsi Gabbard, on Thursday defended her decision to vote present during the House's impeachment vote, saying she does not believe in good conscience that she could vote either yes or no, which, again, right? So she kind of took that present as opposed to saying no and hurting the feelings of the other Democrats, right? But it is what it is. We move on and see what happened there. There was a total of 2 Democrats that voted against impeachment. Tulsi voted present, and all the Republicans voted against it as well. So impeachment is a hoax. It's phony. And now we've seen since that impeachment vote that Nancy Pelosi is not sending over the impeachment articles to the Senate. And again, this is part of that play. You can start guessing, was she just trying to placate the wild left in her party by going through with this impeachment? Is she not going to send it over? Is she worried that when the Senate acquits Trump, that it ends up having an opposite effect on the election? Because I think that's what it comes down to, right? We've heard the Democrats, Al Greens, the Maxine Waters, all saying we need to impeach this president before he gets reelected. Well, you know what? What are you saying to the American people when you say that? You're telling the American people, we can't let you have your decision. We can't abide by having the decision that you made to have Donald Trump, because they've never gotten over 2016. It's a disgrace, and we need to make sure that we somehow get out in 2020, get our votes counted, and make sure there's voter IDs in place, that there's plenty of poll watchers, and that's something you can do. You can volunteer to be a poll watcher. You can volunteer to just work the polls if you want. You'll actually get paid for that. But to be checking people's IDs. Now, when I show up at the voting poll, I've always shown an ID. Most of the people I've seen always show IDs. But you can literally sign the back saying, yes, I am. I just don't have the ID with me, and go ahead and vote. And I think that's partly where you see some voter fraud coming in. Does anyone go back and check on those? Allegedly, they do, right? But I don't know that it's true. And we've seen things like in Detroit with thousands of people on the voter rolls that don't belong there. They're dead or moved away. We've seen all kinds of stuff across the country with that. And in New York this week as well, we saw that the New York DMV is now giving driver's licenses to illegals. What, do you think those driver's licenses are going to work as ID when you go ahead and vote illegally? Yes, they are. That's exactly what's going to happen. That's what Democrats across the board are trying to do. They want to take the 20-odd million illegals who are in this country and get them voting Democrat, because you know what? Those of us with brains,